We ride together. We die together. Bad boys for life.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Blerd Lines Entertainment. I am your host, Daryl Stokes, with my co-host,
Jason Strange.
Yes, sir, and we are here today to talk to you guys about Moon Knight, episodes 5 and 6.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been a minute since we've been able to get with you guys. Hope everybody's been doing all right, doing well. We're going to try and... get back on a regular schedule. I started a second job, so that's why things have been kind of...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Just trying to get that hustle going and shit like that. So, yeah, how you been, man?
Working, man.
Yeah.
I'm working. Living life.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Still getting your place together. It's coming together very well.
Yeah.
I wish people could see the poster, but that in due time, I'm sure we'll get it in the shot sometime.
We'll maybe throw some pictures and some videos when everything is put together for the fans and people out there.
Yeah, for sure. But we're here to talk to you guys. Give our thoughts on the last two episodes of Moon Knight, episode 5 and episode 6, which was the finale.
Yeah.
We're here to just give you guys our thoughts on that. But as always, please, if you can, if you're new, hit that subscribe button for us. If you're returning, we definitely appreciate you. Continue to show us love it. We loving it, all the support and stuff. And hit that like button for us. So yeah, if you're new, subscribe. If you're returning, appreciate it. All of you, if you can, hit that like button, share it if possible, leave a comment, and let us know what you guys think about the topics that we're going to touch upon today. And jump right into it, man. What'd you think about episode? Let's start with episode 5. What'd you think about episode 5? For me, it was actually it might be my favorite episode of the entire season.
You thought so?
Yeah, it was very emotional.
Yeah. It pulled at heartstrings a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think we definitely got to see Mark's life and what was going on with Mark.
Yeah,
got a better understanding of that, and also the truth behind what Steven is to Mark.
Yeah.
And I think that one is obviously anyone who knows of Moon Knight already knows is more like a different persona. Like, it's still the same
personality,
different personality, but like fans that are actually seeing this live action, it throws you for a twist, because you're thinking Steven was a real person once upon a time. But now you're like, oh. Like
we're kind of left to figure out who the body actually truly belongs to.
Yeah, whose body is it?
Yeah, and we definitely find that out in this episode, man. And spoilers, by the way, obviously. And we're probably just gonna jump around within the episode, but we find out that it's Mark's body. That Mark was the original holder, the original pilot of his body. Is Mark Sanchez.
You're thinking the Jets.
The butt fumble.
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Spector. Oh, my bad. Mark Spector. He was the main pilot of the body, and we find out that that he created Steven, out of some trauma that happened to him. And I loved how this episode touched upon mental health.
Yeah.
And mental issues and things like that.
And how he coped with
his, and how he was able to his way of dealing with it, which was to split his personality. And
it was like making an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Almost, in a way, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah.
And this episode opens up with a woman telling Mark that it's all his fault. We don't know what exactly was his fault, but you can see the pain in this woman's face. And later on, we find out that that's his mom. And because we end up on the at the end of last episode, we find out that we are on, we are in this facility, and at the end of it, they meet the goddess Towerette, which is like the goddess of the. She's not the goddess of afterlife. I forget what exactly she's the goddess of, but it's nurturing, and it might be the afterlife. I can't remember exactly, but you know, she has connection with those who pass on into the Duat, which is the Egyptian afterlife, and she even drops she teaches us of the afterlife within the MCU, how it can be different variations depending on the person and you know what you believe in. And she even shouted out the ancestral plane from Black Panther. And you know, she said it was a beautiful place, you know, and Black Panther, we got a chance to see it in two different interpretations of it. One was with T'Challa, when he went back and seen his ancestors, specifically his dad, in that field, that African field with the Panthers. Yeah, exactly. And then Killmonger, when he went back to what was it, L.A. Yeah, he was from L.A. And talked with his father there. That was his interpretation of the afterlife. So that it basically just confirms that not everybody's afterlife is the same, because even with the Asgardians, they go to hell, Hel, or Valhalla. You know, they got that's their interpretation of hell and heaven. You know, so here we get the Egyptian version of the afterlife, finding out that we're in the Duat, and you know, we find out that Mark and Steven, they're being judged basically to see if they can go on into the field of reeds, or if their souls are to be lost to the Duat. If their scales
become balanced.
Exactly. Yeah, and we find out that, you know, their scales don't balance. Tarot takes their hearts, they're like stone hearts, I think they were.
Yeah. And puts in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Just to see if it balanced out.
And you know, when we see that they don't balance, so she tells them to go back and we this is when we find out we're on a ship as well.
Yeah.
You know, we in episode 4 they kind of alluded to it with the swaying hallway, and you could kind of hear the rocking of a ship. So that we find out that we're on this sand ship, because they're sailing through sand in the Duat. And so she tells them to go back inside and figure it out. And, you know, we get taken into Mark's life, you know, and seeing how things played out in his life and what led to this trauma, this childhood trauma. And we basically come to find out that, you know, we see all these people that Mark has killed throughout his life, and you know, they were sitting in the cafeteria, like all these old decrepit zombie looking beings just sitting there, and he's explaining that this is, you know, all the bodies that I've taken out. And he's like, how do you live with this? And he's like, you try taking a life and, you know, see if you ever forget.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that can't be easy to deal with. You know, he was a mercenary. So, you know, that's something he had done this whole time. You know, he's been doing for a long time. And then also we get a jump to we witness this meeting, not this meeting, but when we flash, because there's a couple flashes of Mark sitting there having a session with Dr. Harold as his therapist. And, you know, there's 3 different times where it happens. One is with Mark, one is with see, look, I hate that they have Steven. Yeah, it's the different personalities things always messes me up. Steven. And then there was another time where which was the first time. He in the first meeting, he's sitting there with a bandage on his nose, and we're like, what happened to him? Like, we didn't see him get into a scuffle or anything like that. But then Dr. Harold tells him that he's starting fights within the facility and things like that. And when Mark or whoever is sitting there is talking, you actually kind of hear this different inflection of his voice, and you hear that he kind of has a New York accent.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, what in the world is going on here? Like, and then, so obviously this is not Mark, this is not Steven.
Yeah.
And we've been getting these hints that there's
Bits
somebody,
and pieces.
yeah, bits and pieces that somebody else has been there. And, you know, he's seems like the more brutal side of Mark and Steven. And, you know, he tries to take his own life with this little pyramid on the, at first he charged at Harold, then once he's getting held back, he tries to take his own life with the little pyramid that was on the desk, which was kind of crazy. And then that's when we flash back into the what's it called?
The boat?
Yeah, back inside the boat. I'm sorry. And that inside the cafeteria, and we see this little boy running around along with the dead bodies. And Steven's like, yo, who is this little boy? And Mark's like,
he thought he killed children too.
He's like, you got killed some children or something? And so he follows the little boy, and the little boy leads him into this room with this memory. And that's when we find out that this is Mark's family. Like, and then so the memory is a memory of Mark's family. His dad, his mom, and this little boy, Roro, who was his little brother. And come to find out, him and his little brother were huge fans of that movie that we had seen. I can't remember the name of the movie, but that was shown to us in the last episode. It was like a Indiana Jones.
It was like Tomb
Raiders or something. It wasn't Tomb Raider. It was something Raider, I want to say.
I think the word tomb was in it.
It was Tomb? Okay.
Tomb
but
something.
You guys, somebody in the comments,
somebody
please
was in
let us
the
know.
tomb.
Somebody was in the tomb. Somebody was
looking.
Something. And, was it Tomb Quest?
Something of that nature.
It's going to kill me, bro.
Somebody help us out.
Please. But we find out that they were huge fans of that movie, and, you know, and they like to play as those two characters from the movie. And, you know, one of the main character's name was Stephen Grant. So, and that was who Mark always portrayed himself as whenever they would play as those characters, and Roro would play as the younger boy from the movie. And, you know, so they go off and they go off to explore their neighborhood or whatever, and we get that little shout out and Mark says later gators to his mom, and, you know, because that was a throwback, a shout out to the first episode when he was on the phone with his mom, when Steven was on the phone with his mom rather. And you know, and then they go off and they're venturing, and it starts to rain, and they know of this cave off in the woods somewhere. And that's when, you know, we find out that, you know, they're not supposed to be going in this cave, but they go inside of it anyway, because they're not supposed to go in there when it's raining, especially. And they go in there.
Because who letting their kids go off into a cave alone? But,
you know,
parents.
How often did we, as kids, go off and do stuff we weren't supposed to in the neighborhood?
Very true.
So, you know, it's not like they always know. And they, you know, they go in the cave and come to find out that Roro dies in this cave, actually. And this is where, you know, that emotional trauma starts hitting, and, like, I was like, shit, like, this dude, you know, he's, and then come to find out his mom blames him for the death. You know, we're at this I forget what the Jewish culture calls their wakes, for the dead, for after when somebody passes. But you know, she's sitting there, she's crying, and she's yelling at him, "This is all your fault. This is all your fault." And I can just only imagine, like, what that's like, going through something like that.
Yeah, well, you can't really be around your family like you want to, because as a kid, I would imagine, you know, your mom is telling you it's your fault. You almost believe it.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is your mom saying it.
Yeah.
Like, this is who birthed me. You know, she thinks I'm the reason he died. Maybe I am the reason he died.
Right.
And you could tell that carried along with him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he to this day he carries it,
Yeah.
that pain. And I mean, obviously, and then it leads to his mom, becoming a alcoholic, and she beats on him all the time, and then especially she beats him on his birthday, like
Yeah, that was crazy.
like that's wild. Like,
Blew out his cake with pops. He
yeah,
couldn't even do it. Went straight to his room. Mom came out there with the belt. Like,
drinking, and that's when we see that that's when his personality splits. He forms this personality that that won't believe that his mom, like, he's sitting there before his personality splits. He's like, that's not my mom, that's not my mom, that's not my mom. And then you see his eyes roll back to the back of his head, and that's when he snaps into the Stephen Grant persona.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, look at this place, we got to clean it up before mom sees it. And don't kill me for that accent, y'all. I apologize.
There's one thing I did like about that scene, though, in particular, was the fact that you see Mark knows what is behind these doors, and he already knows the memories. He's lived it. Yeah. Steven has no idea, but Steven is like curious, like, where's this boy going? What happened? What are you not telling me, Mark? Mm-hmm. And Mark was like, don't worry about it, we don't need to see it. So he's trying to deflect from his past.
Yeah.
He's trying to get away from that. And which in turn is the reason why the scales are unbalanced, because he's not facing his past. And anytime Steven would try to jump in and see what memories were going on, like what the truth was, you can see like Steven was very intrigued, like trying to figure it out. Like he's going up the stairs, and Mark is like, no, don't go upstairs, don't look through this door. And he's trying, but Steven is adamant about seeing what's happening. And as Steven's able to take in these memories and see what's happening, it does bring them closer together to better understand why Mark is doing the things that he did. Made him the way he is. So I mean, I think that aspect of it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, man. And then we we get brought out of that memory for a hot second, and then we go to the meeting with Mark and Dr. Harrell, and and he's explaining to him that, look, you're sitting here telling me that you're on a boat, that you see yourself on a boat with a hippo goddess and the moon goddess and all these things and that. And he's like, listen to yourself. Does that make sense or nonsense? And Mark's sitting there like, you know what, maybe,
nonsense?
Yeah, maybe like nonsense. Like, when you think about it, like, maybe I am tripping. Like, maybe I am actually in this mental institution, for a reason. And, and we're sitting here as an audience still wondering like, okay,
what is real?
What is real? Like, because, even though we know that we're in the MCU, we know it's possible for, this hippo to be, guiding him through the afterlife. But at the same time, we know that this type of mental illness and how mental health can affect a person, he might truly just be broken.
Yeah. And creating this
yeah, exactly. Like
world.
This might all still be in his head.
Yeah.
And, and Mark's sitting there like, I don't know, like, what's real or not anymore. And then, again, I'm out of, I know I'm out of order and things like that, but I wanted to talk about, I want to jump back to the memory of his brother and his mom. Like you said, he formed that personality out of, that trauma from, getting beat by his mom. But I actually think that it's possible that another personality might have spawned from that. Because remember, in the last episode, we got a hint to another one being locked in the sarcophagus. When it was shaking, I still think it was that that Jake Lockley character. And so I think, the way I think of it is that there was Mark, who felt like he couldn't cope with everything that was going on, so he created Steven to forget everything that's going on. And I think that Jake Lockley was created to take the punishment, while his mom was beating him, or when he when he was being bullied or anything like that. Like Jake was the one that was, okay, I'll take all the beating, you guys, Mark, you can't, you struggle to deal with everything, and Steven is the wholesome,
Yeah. Steven is like the peace.
Yeah.
And then Jake is like the vengeance.
Yeah, basically, and Mark is the broken man.
Yeah.
And he just wants the Mark honestly, he wants it all to end. Like he's tired, he's mentally imbalanced, he wants that peace and quiet. And so we jump forward again to another memory of no, we jump to Steven meeting with Arthur Harrell. And Steven again is also sitting there like, I don't know, what's going on, what's real, what's not. And oh no, actually, let me jump back to the memory, because that's when Steven realizes that he's not real. He was made up. I forgot to talk about that. And I can only imagine. And what's crazy is that he is a real person. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is just the fact that he isn't he's real to the touch, but he's not real as a real person, I guess. You get what I'm trying to say, right?
He's not his own individual person.
Right. Like he was made up. He's basically, like you said, imaginary friend who's able to inhabit the body of Mark. Yeah. So again, I can only imagine how Steven feels about that, because again, he's even though he's imaginary, he's still a real he's still real with real emotion, real feelings at the same time. So I can only imagine how that pulls him apart. And once we flash back to the meeting with him and Harold, Steven and Harold, he's like, I want to call my mom. And that's when Arthur's like, okay, fine, we'll call your mom. He told
him she was dead though at first.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it's like, she's dead.
Yeah. And
he's like, no, she's not.
No, she's not. Like, I'm gonna call her. So Arthur's like, okay, can we get Steven's mom on the phone? And he's like, okay. He hands him the phone, and he's like, and it pulls up to his ears, and he was like, my mom's not there because she's dead. And that's when we also realized that she's truly dead, because we've been wondering, like, who is he talking on the phone with? If he's Steven and not Mark. And that's when we see that, that when he was on the phone, that there was nobody there. And we flash to the wake of his mom after she had died, and we see Mark standing outside of the house with his dad. Sees him outside of the window. Mark's over there across the street drinking, trying to cope with it in his own way, but he can't bring it. And his dad's trying to, motion him to come in, but Mark's like, no, I can't. And he starts to walk off, and he breaks down, and he starts crying, and he starts feeling all this pain, and next thing you know, that switch flips, and he's Steven again. And now Steven's like, oh no, I'm lost. There I go doing the accent again. I'm gonna get vilified in the comments. He's like, I'm lost. He calls his mom. He's like, I did it again, Mom. I don't know where I'm at. Here we are again, but oh well. And he's just a wholesome dude, and and he doesn't know. He's unaware of the tragedy that just happened to him. You know what I'm saying? So, this episode alone was fantastic. I can't forget the end when, because once the hearts don't balance and they reach the gates of Osiris, Tara is like, look, you guys didn't balance out. You guys couldn't, learn to cope with each other and, accept each other. So that's when they start getting attacked by these zombies, basically, from off the side of the boat. And, and Steven's almost pulled apart, but Mark comes and helps him and saves him. But now Mark's in trouble, and Steven's like, you got this, Mark, you got this. But wait, if you got this, I got this. And that's when he realizes that, you know, he has all the abilities that Mark has. He just has to learn how to tap into them and accept that him and Mark are one.
Yeah.
And once that happens, you know, he helps Mark fight all these dead people off of him, and he ends up tackling one into the sand, and then that's when Mark ends up not Mark,
Medusa.
but Steven ends up Medusa, basically turns the stone, and that's when the scales finally bounce, because there's only one persona left, you know, presumably one that's, you know, which allows the scales to balance. And we see at the end where we see Mark in the field of reeds, and that was the end of the episode, man. But overall, what'd you think of this episode, man?
Thought it was very deep. It was very emotional. I think that's one of those things that Marvel has been doing a lot lately, is making things a little bit more emotional.
Yeah.
And I've liked that.
Yeah,
because
so
it's
have
not
I.
all happy and flowers. Like the things that these heroes that we see go through, it's not, you know, everybody has a story, and a lot of times it's more sad than it is just happy. Like, you don't just get powers and become a superhero and like now you're an Avenger.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Like you see the dark side with Moon Knight, and I think it was beautiful. Like it's like the calm or the storm.
Yeah.
Now hopefully we get the calm after, which
I definitely agree.
It was good though. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
I love that
same.
episode.
Same for sure. And, you know, and to lead us into episode 6, you know, we start off with, you know, now we see the opposite side of everything that's been going on. You know, while Mark was, you know, dealing with everything in the afterlife, we open up with Dr. Harrell and his henchmen removing Mark from the water that he had shot him into, and you know, pulling the Ashati, I hope I'm saying that right, the little statue of Ahmet out of, you know, his pocket and everything, and he tells him that, you know, hey, whoever, you know, he said, I hope you find peace in afterlife, Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, or whoever else is in there, again alluding to possibly another personality within the body. And you know, we see and we find Layla, you know, watching all this from in the back, and she's trying to hold it together and things like that. And you know, and they leave him there. They leave Mark there to die, basically. And Harold puts the scarab on his chest. Layla comes out. She's crying. You know, she can't believe that Mark's gone. She picks up the scarab, and she knows that this is going to lead her to Arthur. So she's like, okay, if he's not here, I'm going to have to do this myself. And so, you know, and I'm trying to...
She follows him on the tracks, and he's like on the road. She finds him. That's when she gets that conversation with Towerette.
Yeah, that's right, because
through the dead bodies.
Yeah, because Arthur, they get stopped by the border patrol, the Egyptian border patrol, and Arthur's like, no, I don't need to show you my papers or anything like that, and he's like, I'm gonna judge, like, you all deserve to be judged, and he judges them all.
Relaxes everybody.
Yeah, all at the same time, and there are no survivors except for one person, and you know, you're hearing these people on the radio like, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. At least that's what I think they're saying, like in their Egyptian language, but. You know, and he tells them like, look, you are a good man, and you now understand what's going on, and you tell him you don't need this anymore. Throws this thing, and you know, I presumably he joined the cult, which is that's basically what it is. It's a giant cult. You know, he's got followers all around the world and things like that. But you know, like you said, Layla ends up having a conversation with Towerette, and Towerette's like, "Look, it's me, Tower, the goddess from the underworld. Mark told me to, you know, reach out to you so you can help. You need to go free Khonshu within the pyramid." And she's like, "No," like, and she's like, "You can be my avatar." She's like, no. like she's like Layla does not want to be an avatar at all. Like you, because she sees how Mark has been like.
She's like, I seen Mark do it. I am good.
I'm cool.
I'm cool.
But yeah, so she she jumps in the caravan with everybody as they drive off to the, because they were already going to the pyramids anyway, because that's where the throne room is, where the Egyptian gods and goddesses are the most powerful. So she follows them there, and we go inside the tomb, and that's where we see all the other avatars meeting to try and figure out what's going on. And that's when Arthur busts through, and he's like, you have no idea what they've been hiding from you, and he kills them all. Yeah. Except, I think he killed everybody except for one. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like, I mean, but he also states that they were judges, not executioners, or they weren't warriors or something like that. Yeah,
judges.
Yeah, they're just judges.
They have enough power because they're gods.
Yeah,
they weren't gonna hold a candle to the power he had.
Yeah, so that, which makes sense, and and that's when he releases Amit, and we see what she looks like. She's this crocodile chick with long ass dreads. Which I think how do you think she looked? I thought she actually looked pretty good.
I thought she looked like scary as shit.
Yeah, she did. She looked intimidating.
Badass,
yeah, she definitely looked intimidating. And she's sitting there. This is where we find out that Arthur, his scales don't balance, even though he's been judging all these people and things like that. And but he knew that his scales didn't balance, and he's letting Amit know that, look, I understand that my scales don't balance. I was hoping that my loyalty to you could fix that. I know now that it won't. And she explains to him, look, your scales don't balance because of what you were going to do for me in the future. He's like, how am I going to do that when I'm dead? And she's like, you're not dying yet. Like, you'll die, and you'll be judged, but as of now, no, you are going to be my avatar, and we are going to cleanse the world, basically. And that's kind of our first inclination, that she doesn't necessarily care if you're good or bad. She just cares if you're going to service her agenda, what she's trying to do.
I don't think that was the case. I feel like, because she did, obviously this is going into the future of that episode, when she meets with Khonshu again.
Yeah. And
discusses with Khonshu, and Khonshu was like, what did he say? He tells her that he gives people, basically he says he gives people the choice to be good or bad, and then he eliminates the bad. Yeah. But she doesn't give them that choice. If she sees you're bad, if she knows you're a bad person, you're out of there. Right. So it's not like necessarily trying to fit an agenda. She's just trying to get rid of the bad apples without giving them a chance to redeem themselves or be a good person.
Which I that's basically what I'm saying. I'm just saying, so if she doesn't care if you're bad, as long as it services her purpose. Like if that's what I'm trying to, because that's basically what she's doing with Arthur. Like, she knows that he's a bad guy and that he's going to do bad things, but it's in service of her. So, I can let it slide. Yeah. And I feel like that's true for anybody else that's out there as well. At least that's how I feel. That's how I interpreted it, at least.
I think she only did that for him because she felt like, I owe you one for this instance. Because, like, you don't owe me. But she's like, well, because you freed me, you can be you're worthy of being my avatar. But her intentions were clear. Like, if you're a bad person and you're not fitting that scale, you're out of there. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. She didn't make any exceptions. The only exception was him, because she had to pick an avatar.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't think there was any, like, other people out there could potentially fit the same mold that he did. No, it was, I got him right now as my avatar. Everybody else, we're getting rid of. And Khonshu's deal was that we at least need to make sure, like, people give them a path to choose from. Yeah. And if they choose the bad path, then we can get rid of them.
Then we can get rid of them. Yeah, that's true.
That's how I seen it.
Yeah. But to bring us back, Layla's creeping around looking for, Conchu's Shanti and or little statue. I'm gonna just say little statue because I don't think I'm saying that right at all. But she's looking for his little statue, and that's when she comes across that I think it was Osiris's avatar. And she's asking, what can we do to stop this? And he's like, we need more avatars than what we have now. And that's when she goes to free, and that's when he dies, and she's like, well, I might be SOL. That's when she goes to free Conchu, like you said, and they have a conversation of what they should do, and Conchu's sitting there like, well, Mark's dead. Mark must have died in battle, died fighting, of course, and he doesn't feel too hurt about it, but he's like, so are you? He tells Layla, so you should be my avatar. Would you?
What's up then?
Yeah, he's like, what's good? Like,
what's good with me and you? What you trying to get into?
So like, what's the move?
Like, my boy out there causing havoc. Well, holla at your boy. We can get this popping. She's
right.
Like, no.
She's like, no. So she like we said earlier, like she said that she's seen how Conchu has treated Mark and torn his life apart and things like that. And and Conchu's like, well, we're kind of SOL then. I'm gonna have to figure something out. So he goes out and confronts Amit. And Layla's sitting there like, well, I'm gonna have to do something. And she's trying to figure it out. And while she's back there, we get the interaction with Conchu and Amit, and they start having all out battle, which I thought actually looked pretty good. For even though we've had a lot of spotty CGI. In this show, I thought it looked pretty good for what we've had.
Yeah.
Them fighting within the pyramid and things like that. And as they're sitting there fighting, we flash over to where we last left Mark in the field of reeds, and Tauret's talking to Mark like, look, this is what you've been wanting. Like, he's like, it's so quiet, it's so peaceful and quiet. She's like, this is what you've been wanting. You can spend the rest of eternity here, and be happy. And he's like, well, that's good, that's good and all, but what about Steven? And she's like, Steven's lost to the Duat. He to spend eternity forever there. And he's like, no, I can't accept that. Like, this is what I want right here, but I can't accept, being without Steven. So that's when he makes the decision to go back out and meet with Steven. Yeah. And this is the part where I'm like, yo, this man, Oscar Isaac, he at least deserves a nomination for an Emmy for this show, because his acting in this show was phenomenal. And because we get that speech between him and Steven, he goes out to Steven's body, and we get that speech of him, basically accepting that Steven, last episode Steven accepted that he was a part of Mark, and now Mark is accepting that Steven is a part of him. And and that they are one, and he takes his heart, places it in his hand, and that's when you see them truly become one, and they both and that's because Mark had started turning into stone as well as he was giving out that speech, and
with the power of love,
yeah, basically with the power of love they become one, and
Amen.
What'd you think about that scene, man? What'd you think about how Oscar Isaac acted throughout that scene, and the emotion that he portrayed?
I mean, he did a hell of a job. I mean, we've seen him in movies before, so like, this wasn't anything new to me. Like,
yeah.
I knew he was going to give a great performance throughout the entire series. But yeah, it was a touch on that emotional side, and to see Mark actually accept his past and finally get Steven back. It was like that moment where you after the climax hits, you think the hero's gonna lose, and you see there's that hope left.
Yeah,
and that's what that feeling brought. It was like, okay, all right, now we're good.
Yeah,
and then from this point, I was like, all right, now get your asses up, and let's do this because Khonshu in there getting his ass kicked.
Right.
So like, what's up? But yeah, I thought it was good. I definitely loved that part of it. So.
Yeah. Did you see that?
I did.
Did it say something?
I don't know.
All I saw was a flash. I don't know what it was.
I said we keep going for now.
Yeah, same. But shit, where were we at?
Them after they got up and
so they get up and they're running toward the gates because the gates ended up opening for the both of them, and but you know this large wave of sand starts chasing after them, and we're like, we're sitting there like, okay, how in the world are they about to get out of this? You know, because they're injured still.
I knew the show wasn't gonna do them like that.
No, I knew it wasn't too, but they were limping and they're trying to help each other through and try and get to the sand. But then that's when we hear the sand and we hear the woohoo from Towerette, and she comes with the boat and she knocks out the wave and allows them to get through. And then that's when he wakes up from like his actual physical form wakes up, comes back to life, and then Khonshu's getting his ass beat. That. Yeah, he felt that Mark. He was like, "Oh, Mark," and he just leaves the fight out of nowhere. So he obviously returns back to Mark, and he heals Mark, and the bullets fall out of his chest and things like that. So now he's like, it's time to go and fight. And Mark goes out there like, no,
Steve. He put that suit on him. I thought so.
Yeah, he put the suit on him, and they go outside. That's when they go outside, and Khonshu's like, all right, are you ready to go do this? And then that's when Steven switches it to the Mr. Knight costume. And he's like, yeah, just 1 second. How are we about to do this new collaboration? Because we're not doing the same deal as last time. Like, we need to know for sure that you're going to release us once we get this job done. And Khonshu's like, look, we don't have time for this right now. Like, and Steven's like, no, we got all day because you're not about to sit here and have me enslaved.
We can all die.
Right. Like, I ain't dripping. Like, I got all day. Like, what's up?
She can come kill us.
Until we get this figured out, until we talk business, then
you owe me my $5. You give me my money, then I could team up.
Right. So he finally comes and says that fine, I'll release you both. He tells that to Mark and Steven that I'll release you both, and that's when he's like, okay, fine, we're good. So then he's like, how are we gonna get there? Because we're miles and miles away. And that's when Khonshu's like, did you forget I am the god of the night? Like, and then that's when they both take off into the moon. That's when he switches back to Mark, and Mark's in this Moon Knight costume, and we kind of get that homage to Batman. How Batman would fly up with the bat wing into the moon. Yeah. And then you get the bat symbol. Well, now we get the Khonshu and Mark flying up into the moon, and we get the Moon Knight symbol with the crescent moon with the cape and the moon within the moon. And I thought that shot was dope for real, because it brought me back to what Batman movie was that? Was it? I forget. What was it? It was either 89 or Forever. I forget which one, but one of those Batman movies from when we were kids, and also the cartoon. As much as they hate being compared to Batman, they still make comparisons to Batman within the show. So I thought that was funny. But he takes off into the air. They're flying through the air, and at this point in time, Arthur has made his way up to the top of the pyramid, Great Pyramid of Giza. He starts spitting out a chant for souls to start being judged, and they go out. He sends out his henchmen and everything throughout Cairo, because they're just going through Cairo, Egypt. They said, we're going to start with Cairo, then we'll do the rest of the world. And then they start judging the whole place, and you see all these souls being taken and sent to Ammit, giving her even more strength as she grows even taller than the pyramids. And again, I think she still looked great even at that height. And I always love that when the attention to detail when they make whenever you get this giant kaiju type of creature, like their movement is slower, because they're bigger. Like there's no way for them to move that fast as you know, bigger beings. So but then that's when Khonshu and Mark show up, and you know, and then that's when the battle really truly starts to take place.
You can't forget Wonder Woman Layla joined the picture.
Oh yes, that's what it was. Because I'm sorry, I forgot. But because we flash back to Layla, because that happened while before Mark came to life.
Yeah, before Mark came back to life, she partnered with Taweret because Taweret said, "You can be my avatar," and she was like turning it down at first, but she was like, "But we ain't got no other choice.
We need more avatars."
So she was like, "All right, fine."
But it's temporary.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Okay, all right." And she's like, "I got a new fit for you," and gave her the Wonder Woman fit with the wings. And the one thing I was like irritated about that scene is just the fact that I'm like, she thought throughout the entire episode she was like, "Nah, I could take them by myself." So you about to go up against gods by yourself as just a regular old lady.
Yeah, like you can fight, you badass, but
like you turning down help from guys. They're like, we gonna help you, and then she's like, "Nah, I got it on my own." With what? Some daggers? A knife? Your goofy gun? Like, come on now. So it was nice that she actually was like, "All right, let's do this temporarily."
Yeah,
and then got the suit, and it's like, "All right, cool." And then she was able to join Mark and Steven in that fight.
And you know, and I love that outfit, that suit, bro. That shit was cold.
Yeah,
I thought she was a better version of Wonder Woman. To be honest with you, I mean
I guess
not to compare
it to the live action,
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. But because honestly, I think it was I can't remember if it was the director or the writer of Moon Knight that openly said that he hated Wonder Woman because of how they interpreted, how they portrayed Egypt in the movie.
I hate how they portray Egypt in movies in general.
Yeah, but
that's another question for another day.
Yeah, but specifically Wonder Woman 1984 because of how they portrayed Egypt, and you know, it's a lot of people were thinking like he did this to shit on Wonder Woman, which I mean, if he did, oh well, I don't really care because I hated that movie anyway. But you know, oh well. So we get Layla. She turns into the Scarlet Scarab because which is a character from the comics. Her name is a version of the original Scarlet Scarab in the comic books. Abdul Fa'uli, I think is her last name, and I think the guy's name in the comics is Abdul Fa'uli or something like that, instead of that just being her last name. So she takes on the persona of Scarlet Scarab, and she's badass. She comes flying in with to help Mark fight all these different all the different henchmen and stuff like that, because Mark and Arthur were fighting in the air and stuff. Again, I thought that fight looked pretty good as well. Yeah. The budget definitely increased for this episode. I can tell.
They had that. There's some moments where they were like fighting on the roof and all that stuff, and I definitely thought it looked good.
Yeah, and that's when. But we see Layla and Mark meet up, and Mark and Steven are enamored with how Layla looks like. He's like, Mark's like, Layla, what are you doing here? Like, what happened to you? And he's like, you can see the gaze in his eyes, like he's just happy to see her. And then Steven switches over, like, oh my God, look at you.
This guy.
Look at you. I get like, what are you wearing? Like, you look so good. That's that. And the third, and he's like, he tells her that, look, you're gonna have to check out all these different moves that we got now. And so they start fighting, and we finally get that shot that's been in the trailers of him jumping over the car with the moonarangs. Is that what you call them, moonarangs?
I don't know. Definitely the combat in that scene, and then when they switched from like Mark style to Steven style, like how they would just jump
switch back and forth. Yeah, I love that. That whole
dope.
fight was dope to me. Yeah. Like, it was the best fighting out of the whole entire show. Yeah, in my opinion. And yeah, man, and so now they're trying to figure out, okay, that's when Layla tells, Mark, like, we have to get him back in the pyramid. I know what we need to do. You know, because we found out earlier that if they bind Amit's soul to a mortal body, she's more vulnerable. You know, so to kind of shorten it up, you know, they team up to fight. And I can't forget the superhero moment for Layla. She saves the little girl from a truck being tossed at her, and the little girl asks her, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And Layla's like, "Yeah, I am." I thought that was a good moment. Like, it's kind of corny, and you know, a lot of people didn't like it. I'm like, you know, a lot of people don't get to see themselves on the big screen in those types of roles that often.
I think it's nice when you get those moments, those small moments, because it's like, okay, now we got an Egyptian superhero,
Yeah,
quote unquote, that we get to see on screen,
mm-hmm.
and that makes little Egyptian girls happy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they get to see someone like them on screen, just like it was for Black people when they seen Black Panther.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, so I don't see really the big issue. Like I said, it's kind of corny. Yeah, sure, it is, but at the same time, how often does this opportunity come around?
It's a moment that other people will like and appreciate even more than others because it's their people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so I love that moment, but then so it does come to a point where Layla is stuck and can't help Mark, and Mark is about to die. Actually, getting his ass beat by Arthur, and all of a sudden, that switch flips. Yeah, exactly.
My God.
And we see Mark standing over Arthur with his little axe thing right at the dome of his head, like right before, you know, digging it into his forehead. And Layla's like, "Mark, what was that?" And he was like, "I blacked out." And he's asked Steven, "Was that you?" Steven was like, "No, that wasn't me." So again, we allude to another personality. Don't know what's going on, but you know but now Arthur is defeated. They take him back to the tomb, and we didn't talk about the giant fight with Arthur and Amet. You know, again, you know that. Which I wonder if other people could see it happening, because you know there were points in the show where other people could see, like, couldn't see what was going on, like they couldn't see Arthur running from the jackal, or they couldn't see Khonshu, and Layla couldn't see Khonshu at one point.
That's the thing. Gods in their god form can't be seen.
Yeah,
that's what I would imagine.
Yeah, so maybe people just seen a bunch of stuff getting kicked around and stuff like that.
I don't think they would have seen two giants, because I think they would have shown more of a reaction from people.
Yeah, because we got no reaction from anybody out there at all.
Yeah, I don't think they really seen it.
Yeah, so you know, they take him back to the tomb while they're still out there fighting. They take Arthur back to the tomb, however, and then they start. And Layla says, "I know the spell to bind her soul to Arthur," and you know they start saying the spell and things like that, and that's when Amet and Khonshu realize that the fight is over, and and Khonshu and Mark and everybody has won, and they're about to, you know, bind her back to Arthur. So they bind her soul back to Arthur, and now Khonshu's like, "Okay, Mark, you need to finish it, like, you know, kill him before, you know, he's able to, because we can't, the world is never safe as long as she is inside of him." And that's when Layla talks Mark out of it and tells Khonshu, like, "Look, now you're starting to sound more like Amit, so if you want her dead, do it yourself. I'm done, release us." And that's when Khonshu's like, "Fine, we'll release you." But then once he releases them, we find ourselves back in the mental asylum. But this time, Mark and Steven are aware that, okay, this isn't real. Like, and they're because they're getting talked to from Arthur Harrow again, who's alive. But as he starts walking, they look down and see his feet are bleeding, and that's when they realize, okay, yeah, we're in. Mark's like, "Steven, you see that?" And he's like, "Yep, I see it." And that's when they realize that this isn't real. This is the part that's all in their head.
Yeah.
and they're like, you know, we're not about to spend time here with you. We're gonna go save the world. Which I'm kind of confused on that line because they just got released. They got released by Khonshu. So how did they go save the? What made them think they were gonna go save the world if they didn't have the
powers.
superpowers anymore? Yeah. So I don't know about that line, but you know it is what it is. But you know he falls back, and then that's when we wake up in his bed. They well, not we. Pause. But us as the audience wake up. We see Mark wake up in his bed, and you know, and we see that him and Steven are coexisting together now, and they're like, I can't believe that worked. You know, we're good now. And we're still, as an audience, still thinking like, okay, what just happened? Because we were just inside of the pyramid just a second ago. So we're obviously missing parts of the story now at this point. And, you know, and we believe, and then that's where we kind of leave off is Mark and Steven, you know, coexisting with each other. They're living as one, you know, and this, that, and the third, and that's when the show ends. But the post credit scene, man, at the end was where I got hyped because we finally get you basically. So we show up, we find Arthur inside of a mental hospital now in some type of Spanish country. And you know, now we're sitting here like, okay, so they must have put Layla and Mark must have put him in here, you know, and come to find out that, and so we're like, okay, what's going on now? This nurse tries to help him out because he spilled some water, and then next thing we know, these black gloved gloved hands show up, and he
I know
tells
exactly who it was.
Oh, I knew exactly who it was once. Yeah, I knew what was going on as soon as I seen that. And I was like, okay, hold on, those are driver's gloves first of all. And then he tells the nurse like, I got him, no worries. And you know he starts wheeling them out, and as he's wheeling them out, we start seeing bodies left around the hospital, you know, and we come out to a limo, and the whoever's pushing Arthur around pushes him into the limo. We see nobody but Khonshu in the limo, and he's decked out in his Mr. Knight outfit, but it's Khonshu's head. He looking good. He's sitting there just sipping a martini, like dude living his big boss life. And and he's sitting there talking to Arthur, and Arthur's like just laughs at him like, really, Khonshu, like what can you do? There's nothing that you can do to us, because he can't affect anything in the real world. And he was like, you know, it's funny that Mark and Steven believed I wanted Layla, you know, to as my next avatar. Why would I want that when I have the perfect avatar already? You know, that's already so split and broken that they don't realize what's truly going on. And he knocks on the window and tells him to meet his good friend Jake Lockley. That's when Jake leans over, speaks some Spanish, pew, pew, takes him out, takes Arthur out. Well, presumably takes him out. I'm guessing he did, but you know, when you don't see a body on TV or a movie,
you never know.
You never know, but you know, but at the end of the day, I like how they've been foreshadowing to this moment for us to be able to finally meet Jake, because again, like I said, since the beginning, in all the reflections and things like that, there was always three people in those reflections. So, but I want to hear what you got to say, how your feelings overall on the entire show itself, and you know, and how'd you like it? Where does this kind of rank it within your MCU shows and things like that?
It's definitely up there as far as the best shows. It had more of emotional depth.
Yeah,
I feel like I definitely loved it. I enjoyed every episode of it to really understand the Moon Knight character.
Yeah,
and see who he is and the different personalities that he portrays. Definitely sucks that we didn't get to see Jake Lockley until
the very end.
end.
Yeah,
I definitely would have wanted to see, knowing me and the dark aspects of Marvel that I do like to see, I would have loved to see Jake in action.
Yeah,
doing the things that he did to set up for Mark and Steven. That's just me.
No, I agree.
But I
definitely
obviously
agree.
that's a good setup for a potential another season.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about the whole Twitter thing with Marvel accidentally saying that this was going to be the series finale or the season finale, and then they changed it last second to series finale.
No, it was originally series finale, then they changed it to season finale. That's what it was, because it was originally stated that Oscar Isaac wasn't planning on coming back for another season. This was supposed to just be a one and done. So, but yeah, you are right though that did happen. So it got changed somewhere. Somebody wanted to change it and decided that okay, we actually have something here with this.
Yeah. So I mean, the end credit scene definitely shows that there's potential for more. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm hype. I'm excited for it. It definitely does rank in at least my top 3 of the TV shows between Loki, WandaVision, and this. I don't know if after Doctor Strange, if it changes for WandaVision, depending on where I want to place it.
I definitely got more appreciation for WandaVision after Doctor Strange.
Do you? Well, we'll get into it. We got a review for Doctor Strange coming out very soon. So, but on that note, man, I really appreciate you guys joining us for these reviews for Moon Knight. I've really enjoyed the show, and and I hope you guys have been able to find some enjoyment within it too, as well. And I enjoyed the portrayal of all the Egyptian lore. Everything with the mental health aspects of the show. I can really expect that there were things even mentally that I was able to kind of gel with, and relate to, within the show. And I was like, wow, like even just with dealing with trauma and how he dealt with trauma versus how I would deal with it and things like that. Like I actually, not saying anything bad against anybody that has to deal with going through it that has dissociative identity disorder, but I find myself blessed and lucky to not to be one of those people that's how because that's a very extreme way to deal with your mental health and trauma. So I commend them for that, for sure. Yeah, but on that note, man, I think we're good, man. I enjoyed the show. I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, definitely gotta go check out Moon Knight.
Yeah, for sure. Go check it out.
I think everybody's talking about it now, so
yeah. So
there's some excitement behind it.
Yeah, for sure. But on that note, as always, please, if you guys can share, subscribe, all that good stuff, please. We'd really appreciate it. We love you guys, and hope to see you guys again real soon. On that note, Jason, I am your host, Daryl Stokes. That is Jason Strange, and we are out. Peace.